Now it's time for Lev's piece, and I'm super interested here because it's more about the application of all of this stuff, right? How you actually are able to work with a React Native app that's used by
Yeah,
many, many people at scale. So go ahead, Lev. I'm going to hand it over to you, man.
thanks, Neil. Thanks. I'll start from a few words about Wix and what are we doing in mobile, because we are mostly familiar, like people know us as a website builder, and we're famous in this area. But actually at Wix, we are building a framework for managing businesses end-to-end, whether it's to manage your customers, manage your payments, social campaigns, etc., etc. And in Wix, we have a mobile app. We have several mobile apps. One app is for managing your business on the go from the phone. And the second app is mostly for users of our users. So they will be able to interact with their Wix-based businesses and to create some kind of community around these businesses. And we have another new app which called Fitness, Fit by Wix, which is targeted for also users of users that are members in some kind of gym or fitness club or something like that. So we have lots of code, lots of screens. We're around 100 developers working on these three apps, which are kind of based on the same code. And I will explain in a second how it works. We're working with React Native, and for those who are not familiar what is React Native and how it actually works, I will share my screen. A bit about Wix structure. Wix is a big company. As I said, we have 100 developers working on the same app, which is a big like it's not an easy task. And how it works, like, so Wix as a company, we're split to some kind of mini companies, and each mini company focus on specific set of features. So for example, we have Wix stores, and they develop features only for stores. And we have Wix bookings, they develop features only for businesses that need to book something, and they have calendar, for example, beauty salon, and etc. And in each company, we have server developers, web developers, and mobile developers. So we have lots of mobile developers spread across many, many teams. And when we work, we tend to work, like when we build our architecture, we'll build it in such way so every team will be able to work as much as possible independent in their release process, in their testing, in their development process, and also in their monitoring process. And I will jump to Sentry because this is directly related to this thing. So this is our Sentry configuration. And this is pretty, I think it's a new screen for me, at least. It's a nice screen. And there are lots of information here. And I want to focus on this thing because it's really important for us. And this area, this section is actually a definition of teams inside the project. And I will explain in a second why do we need teams. So in Sentry, you can see here that we have lots of teams. And if I go to configuration and project teams, each team contains several members. I'll go back. And each time I have an issue or error, I can auto-assign issues to a specific team by these rules that we pre-configured. So in practice, how it works, if I go to issues, for example, just a second, I have here also predefined search configuration for each team. Let's go to events team and see their errors. So you can see that the assignee of each error here is the events team, and they're getting their own alerts and their notifications for these errors, and they're responsible for these errors. And if we go, for example, to this error, I don't know, we can see that this error was assigned to this team because in the rules of the ownership was configured that any issue with this string in the stack trace automatically will be assigned to that team. And we can see here in the stack trace that the first line in the stack trace is actually coming from that team. So they are responsible for that error. After that, they can assign it to a different team if they think that they are not responsible for this, or they are not the one to blame. A few words about releases. So here you can see all our releases, and we are releasing lots of versions per day. And why is like that? Because we are releasing lots of internal versions. Like every time someone from the 100 developers want to trigger a build, it will create a version for that person. And you can see that most of the releases are not, the adoption rate is not high because no one used them. But if I sort by, let's say, active users, we can see here real versions. And for example, this is version from today. And we saw that the crash rate of this version was a bit high. And let's try to dive in and understand why. And actually, this is from today. I can show you our Slack. Our release manager wrote, guys, this version has too many crashes, so I'm stopping it on 18% of Android penetration. We're not releasing directly to 100% of users. We're releasing it gradually on Android, exactly for that reasons, to monitor and to catch problematic versions. And if we go to, usually I'm directly jumping to opening issues because it's much easier for me. And because first release, it's only new issues. And I can sort them by priority. Okay, and it was crashed, so I need also to sort by error level. Just a second, level. And as I said in the beginning, that in React Native, we can have JavaScript errors, which are actually errors, and they are not fatal. They are not crashing the app, and there are fatal errors, which are actually crashing the app. So in this case, I want to see the fatal errors. Okay. And let's try to understand it. I think this is the problematic was, and we can see that lots of users suffered from this issue, and we can see here that it's coming from Stripe SDK, React Native SDK. So we know who to blame. And this issue, unfortunately, was not assigned to anyone because this is actually something missing in Sentry to assign issues for native stack traces, but I know it's something in progress. Another cool thing that we're using is the breadcrumbs. So in breadcrumbs, we can see, first of all, if we look on the navigation, there are not no much information about the navigation, because the navigation that is auto monitored here with breadcrumbs is native navigation, and maybe there is support for out of the box React navigation, but we are using React Native navigation, which is a different library in React Native. So it's not automatically tracked by Sentry, but we are sending something like custom breadcrumb that called the screen shown event, and now we know that the person went to this and this screen before the app crashed. So it's really helpful. Another thing that is useful here is the HTTP request. Of course, you need to be careful and not send here some important information or sensitive information. But I know also there is a flag, so I'll be able to see the body of the post. And I somehow can turn it on, and then I will see the body of what we sent in the post request, which is pretty cool. What else I can show interesting? I think that's all. Neil?
No, that's very cool. Especially the breadcrumb part with, where you don't have enough context, so you go back and put in the context to make it easier every time going forward.
Yeah, well, like we're planning to add lots of stuff to the breadcrumbs. We also try to add the like touch events, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
We also, when we're working with error monitoring and Sentry, we have like this is our internal app for development, and we have here something called trigger errors, and we can trigger errors. Oh no, just a second, I'll turn on the red screens. Yeah, I can trigger errors, and you see these errors are not, they are not crashing the app, just errors, and we'll see them in a sec in the in Sentry. And something we added is called red screens, which in React Native in development you see lots of red screens, but when you have a production app or release app, let's call it release app, the errors are just sent to Sentry, but sometimes you want to see them in your release version. So we have this switch, and now if I trigger the app, the error, I will see an error, but the information here is minified, so I can't see the whole stack trace. So something we are working on is to send the Sentry event, get back the event ID, and fetch from Sentry the stack trace and show it here. And it will be pretty cool, or at least show the link so that, let's say, product manager will be able to click the link and go to the developer and say, dude, there is a bug here.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. So it cuts down on kind of the whole reproduction side, where if the error happens live, it's not even, you need to go to Sentry or, reproduce it and then go from there. It's like, whoever the app owner or whoever encountered it, like, here it is, it happened on app.js line,
and usually the QA and the product manager and also the developer, when he's playing with the release version, he has no idea what JavaScript errors he triggers. So we want these red screens to be shown in the QA cycle. So this is something cool, and we're working on enriching this area more and more.
Yeah. You started at releases and our new project details page in terms of understanding, what is the overall state of things. Is that a pretty common workflow that you guys use? Is go in from here and then find the relevant issues, and then kind of go down and trace it from there?
Yes. Usually it's like that. Usually for example, I have a bug, so I just write the version, trying to find it here and dive from here. Another flow is, of course, from the issues, is to write some release number or I don't know, some part of the stock trace or stuff like that.
Understood. Understood.
And of course, this thing is very helpful because the teams know like how to search exactly their own issues, and we can like, if we see that there is something with lots of issues, we need to deal with this. And also something that we started, I don't know if it's configured or not. We're trying to configure alert rules per team. And these rules are sending alerts to Slack. And we need to fine tune it because we are getting too many alerts. This is something we are working on. So let's see if we have here something. So we are getting these kinds of messages, and then the team knows what to do.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. I also saw a couple metric alerts there as well. So it sounds like you guys are poking around in that area as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're also thinking about building a bot that will monitor these alerts, will check from what version this alert sent, and we'll try to understand whether it's important alert or not. For example, if it's a version that is currently in production, it's like the high priority. If it's an old version that, I don't know, some user didn't update the app and it's crashed, like we don't care. It's less important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. So you're
So,
trying to curate it and add more context to essentially the alert rather than, hey, this fired and bam, I see this.
Yeah. Something that is currently missing, but I know that it's in progress, is to identify internal releases, beta releases versus production releases. Which will be really, really cool. And then I will be able to filter, like, show me only the production releases and compare them or something like that. And actually it can be done automatically by the adoption.
Yeah. And actually the project details page is going to be pretty useful for that as well, because you'll be able to go to a project and then specify for environment, and then releases will be, so it'll be kind of two ways to interact with that data, but releases and projects are going to be two different ways to see things in aggregate, just in actually, a different format.
When we started configure, like something I didn't touch, but when you have let's call it multi-model architecture, that you have many models and each team is responsible for different model, you have two ways to work with Sentry. You can create one project and like put everyone to there, or you can create several projects, but then you need to maintain lots of configurations, and it's a bit heavy task. And not all the teams familiar with the configurations of Sentry. So we decided to create one project, and the environment we use for different kind of apps. Like we have, as I said, 3-4 apps: admin, fitness, places, and we have here separation between development and production between iOS and Android. So if I have an issue in Android admin app in production, so I will just do like this. So this is the app for the owners, and this is only issues in Android. And you see the loader because we have lots of issues.
Understood. Very interesting. Anything else, Lev, that you want to share regarding your Sentry experience? Because you've been using Sentry for a while, and you know.
No, I think we are not using it enough. Like there are lots of new and cool features. For example, these stubs are really cool that we need to start working with. The performance, the transactions, there are lots of work for us to catch up and use all the cool features.